Well, hello there everyone, and welcome to the Medieval 2 Total War Series 1 Faction Poll. We leave Series 2 of Rome Total War behind now, as it took place several years in the past, and now we go several hundred years into the future to a time known as the Middle Ages. And I guess it's called that because it's set in, about the year 1000-ish, just after, and it's kind of halfway in between the year where Jesus was born and today, so that's actually why it's called the Middle of Ages. So that kind of blew my mind when I just thought of that myself. I'm very easily impressed. Anyway, what's the aim of today? Well, the aim of today is to decide which faction is going ahead to be played as in Series 1 of Medieval 2 Total War. But before we get into the many factions we have to pick, I thought I'd just lay down what the ground rules of this campaign is. So, I have gone and done a little bit of a mod on the game, as in the most basic mod in the world, as in I barely modded it all. I literally went into one text document and changed where some text was, in order to unlock all the factions except those which are deemed completely and totally unplayable. So we have access to all 17 lovely factions in this game, ranging from Portugal in the far west to the Russians of the far east. And the reason why I did this was just because I know while the game originally restricts you to 5 starter factions, I thought since we're going to be doing this campaign on a certain difficulty, which I haven't disclosed yet but will disclose any second, I thought we may as well just give all factions a shot, because hey, you never know. I just like picking factions at random, or well, I'm just having other people pick it for me because I'm bad at making decisions. Anyway, so what are the rules of a campaign? Well, as per usual, we are playing long victory rules, which does require us to take about 50 provinces and 1 or 2 key provinces, which do vary in between faction. And we are going to be playing on the difficulties known as normal for the campaign and hard for the battles. Now, just to quickly justify this before someone wonders if I am just chickening out of challenge, the reason why I have picked normal hard is because while I am somewhat experienced in fighting in Medieval 2 and I have a feel for the UI because it's pretty much identical to that of Rome's, I do not feel so confident in my campaigning skills, so I have gone for hard in the battles just so I feel challenged in there, because honestly normal difficulty battles do not challenge me whatsoever. And I have gone I've gone normal for the campaign, not hard. Normal for the campaign just because I'm not too used to many of the mechanics, because I have not played a campaign in Medieval 2 in an excessively long time, and so I just wanted to make sure, in a way, to play it safe, and also just so for my purpose I can just get to grips. Obviously I'm not going to play on easy because then it's no challenge whatsoever. I think on that difficulty the AI probably just kills itself or something. But yeah, it's just really so we can get used to all the things like the Pope, the buggery of the Pope hating you, and also all the other cool things that, there's like ways you can specialize your towns and all that. So it's just really just so we can get into that, and then, if once we do a series 2 in the future, then, we'll bump that up to hard. But it's just for the first series, and also, hey, if you're not used to Medieval 2, then come learn with me, I guess. Anyway, let's, without further ado, jump into the many factions we have to choose from. There are 17 in total, and they're all up for grabs. All you need to do to vote is just follow the link in the description, and that will take you to the poll. It is open from today until Sunday. At that point, whoever has the most votes will be picked. If it is a tie break, unfortunately I don't have a time to do a round 2, so what is going to happen is the winner will just be chosen at random. But without further ado, let us get into the faction choices and see which faction will be picking up the mantle very early on in June. So let's jump right into it with faction choice number 1 being England. Recently conquered by William the Conqueror of Norman descent, the English begin with control of the south of England and bits of Normandy. Have many challenges initially, dealing with the French, dealing with the Scottish, and there could be certain incursions of the Danish kind if you're not careful. The English do bring superb longbowmen and a good selection of infantry, despite their lack of cavalry, and they seek to conquer the standard fortified regions, and they'd also like to get hold of Jerusalem. In at number 2 are the French. Currently located in close to Central Europe, but it's more of a western position, with multiple fronts such as the English, the Romans, the Milanese, Portuguese, Spanishese, and even the Moors to some weird extent. The French find themselves surrounded by enemies, but they could also be surrounded by friends if our diplomacy is up to scratch. We would be able to have access to some of the best heavy cavalry in the west and some very good late period infantry. However, our early game will see us putting up with a very weak infantry. The French seek to control the standard amount of regions once more, but they'd love to get hold of Jerusalem as well. Our third choice is the Holy Roman Empire, a sort of cobbled together spatch of German fiefdoms, princedoms, duchies and all that. They've elected an emperor to lead them, and hopefully this emperor could unite Central Europe under the Holy Roman Empire's banner, and maybe even more. They also would like to get hold of, well, Rome itself actually, to make themselves super Roman, but we don't need to go for Jerusalem at least. The Holy Roman Empire is a very good all-rounder faction, though at the same time, in the late period, their strength may wane as they lack professional armies. Or if we want to go into the west, we have Spain. Recently united by King Alfonso, and he has united Leon and Castile, he would now seek to drive out the Moors in the Reconquista, and perhaps compete with the Portuguese for control of the Iberian Peninsula. But overall, the Spanish would love to get control of Jerusalem and Granada, and they are bringing some excellent naval units, light infantry and cavalry, but at the same time they do have a lack of heavy infantry and spears in the early period, which could put them at a disadvantage against certain factions. Keeping the theme going to sea, we have Venice as well. Located in northeast Italy, they boast very strong militia infantry and good colonial units and some late technology, though the Venetians do not bring strong cavalry. Venice would love to get hold of Constantinople as well and create their own pseudo-Eastern Roman Empire. Keeping it Italian, we have Sicily as well, located in the south of Italy, and most logically, Sicily itself. The Sicilians have a lot of Norman influence, led by King Roger I, and they are bringing a strong militia type units, Norman knights and Muslim archers, for like the Venetians, their cavalry is quite lacking. Sicily would like to get hold of Jerusalem alongside, well, nothing else really. Well, okay, they do need 45 regions once more, so Carthage Campaign version 2, I guess. And also in Italy, we have the Milanese, located in proximity to Venice, France, the Holy Roman Empire, and the Papal States. The Milanese bring strong militia infantry, crossbowmen, and late technology, but like their Italian comrades, their cavalry is lacking, particularly offensive cavalry. The Milanese need hold of Constantinople as well in order to create their weird, warped Eastern Roman Empire, or just because Constantinople is prime real estate really for making lots of money. About halfway through our faction pick, we have the Scottish of Scotland. Led by King Malcolm, they need to get control of the rest of the Scottish Highlands and maybe unite to the other Gaelic lands such as, well, Ireland and, I don't know, maybe Eastern France if it's still a bit Gaelic. Well, Western France more likely. The Scottish bring excellent spears and pikes, though they do lack in cavalry, and their noble units tend to fight on foot. The Scottish wish to get control of Jerusalem as well, because I'm guessing we couldn't really make up any other ideas. The Byzantine Empire, all that is left of the Roman Empire. They have very strong heavy cavalry, missile cavalry, and some very capable archers, though there is a lack of gunpowder amongst them. The Byzantine Empire would love to reform the Roman Empire under the banner of Orthodox Christianity, and they seek to control both Rome and Jerusalem in order to rebirth this legacy. Going into the far east, we have the Russians, beginning in a very isolated position in the northern stretches of the campaign map. They would love to get control of Jerusalem and Constantinople as they establish a large-scale Russian kingdom amongst the lands. The Russians' isolated position may give an advantage in the early game, and they also bring a great mix of missile and melee cavalry, and their early infantry and missile units are somewhat lacking in the early game, which may make their isolation a benefit. However, there could be some unexpected new neighbours coming to their lands very, very soon. Returning to the Iberian Peninsula and beginning the cavalcade of Muslim dynasties within this game, we have the Moors. The Moors currently hold the southern parts of Al-Andalus, also known as Iberia, and bits of North Africa. The Moors wish to rebuild the Almoravid Caliphate, or the other one, the Abbasid one. Basically, there's many caliphates beginning with the letter A in this region, but if we could establish a Moorish one to control the Iberian Peninsula and take hold of Toledo and hopefully Jerusalem as well, that is what they are seeking. They also can field a good mix of light cavalry and infantry and effective spear units, but their late period units are lacking in strength. As far east as you can go, we have the Turks under the Sultanate of Rum, one day to become the Ottomans. They bring mounted archers of outstanding quality and janissary troops, but their heavy armour is lacking in the early period. Also, I should mention, the Turks seek to control Constantinople and Jerusalem. And last but not least of these caliphates, sultanates and Muslimities, we have the Egyptians, also known as Fatimid Egypt. They bring very powerful cavalry and Mamluks, though they are lacking in heavy infantry, especially as the game progresses on. Fatimid Egypt would like to get control of Constantinople and Jerusalem as they seek to dominate the Middle East. Denmark is a relatively new kingdom that's getting out of its old Viking ways but still has some influences from days gone by, with their mix of units, with infantry preparing to wield their swords or axes instead of spears. They do lack good heavy cavalry though, and they do need to get control of Jerusalem in order to succeed in this endeavour. Portugal begins in an awkward position with control of the far western reaches of Iberia and the far eastern reaches too. Can they unite their kingdoms and reconquista the lands out of the Moors' hands and maybe take down the Spanish while they're at it? If they can, their excellent light infantry and naval units with light cavalry may be of help to them, though their armies overall lack professionalism. Portugal must also get control of Jerusalem on top of Granada. And last but not least, we have the Slavic powers, first of which is Poland. They sit east of the Holy Roman Empire and north of the Hungarians. The Polish are very devout Christians and Catholics, making use of very strong cavalry, though their infantry is somewhat mediocre. And the Hungarians, who seek to conquer Jerusalem and many regions just like their Polish brothers, they bring a very strong mix of heavy knights and skilled horse archers but lack offensive infantry. The Hungarians as well find themselves being one of the main borders between Christian Europe and Orthodox and Muslim lands. Can they create a sufficient frontier, or will some other invaders put them to the sword?